Hello everyone, I am super excited to be back with you here on YouTube. I have had a little break. For any of you that have been following me, I've had a little gap, which has been because I have been going through what I would call an incredibly profound transformation, death, rebirth process. And actually, at a certain point, I had to make some huge decisions around what I was doing and where I was spending my time and give myself the space to just be in that transformation. And I'm really excited to say I'm now coming out the other side of it. There are so many lessons that I have taken from this. It's been massive. And so, what I wanted to do is create this video here today to share with you what's going on, what I've experienced, and also so that I can share my learnings and the lessons that have come from it in hope that that can support somebody else. So what I want to say first of all is this journey of ascension, this journey of stepping into who we truly are on a core level is never, ever easy and simple. And I think it's important to say that because I think it's easy for everyone to show and share the highs, but actually I feel most important to share the full spectrum of experience, of emotion, of what it takes, because actually in the process of becoming who you really are, who you are on a really core level, you do need to go through some serious transformation, and that doesn't always look like it's going perfectly. But that's the summary of the advice, the guidance, and the wisdom that the last few months have really taught me. So yeah, if you're in a space right now where it feels like things are crumbling, things are not going to plan, and it's feeling hard, it might not necessarily be going wrong. It might be going perfectly. So let me share my stories because I think this is important. And from this point, I do hope to be able to come on and have the space to be able to come back and share more videos. And I did share a beautiful video recently with my gorgeous friend Louise. And I just want to do a little plug to say that Louise and I have a beautiful event on the 9th of June, if anyone wants to join that, where we are opening up the space for you to join us in the conversation. Louise is a galactic astrologer. As you know, I am a galactic channel, and the wisdom we weave is just beautiful. And it's a space for anyone who's experiencing any of this, like what I'm about to talk about, to come in and share those experiences. We will talk about the astrology. We'll talk about the wider implication of what's happening right now, but also we can share our own personal stories and give each other some support and advice here as well. So if you are interested in that, I'll put the link below. So let's get into what's going on. Let's get into the story around what I've been experiencing over the last few months. So for anyone who's been following my journey or knows me, you may know that I also run a marketing agency, or have been running a marketing agency alongside doing this work, where I channel and I support people energetically, and I support individuals as a mentor, a multidimensional business mentor. So I help with the learnings that my beautiful Arcturian guides teach me about fifth dimensional business and how to bring that into business. So I've kind of had two businesses and they've been separate. And for a long time, I felt really pulled between them. The marketing business had been established longer, very, very abundant business, and it had held me through some really beautiful times and really given me the space to focus on what I've been doing here in Be Magnetic. However, about, I would say 6 months ago, maybe even slightly before that, I started to feel that that business was no longer really relevant for me. I was finding it hard to be in that business because I felt like the marketing I was doing was kind of too shallow and I wanted more depth to my work. And I felt that depth was here in Be Magnetic, but the work in Be Unleashed, it was kind of going well because it was going financially well, but it didn't really have my heart anymore. So I made this plan to bring the fifth dimensional marketing into the corporate world, which is what I was doing through Be Unleashed. And in fact, that was the guidance I thought I was understanding. And this is just how you, as a human, try to interpret the guidance, right? So I could feel my guides kept saying is bring fifth dimensional business into the wider world. So what I, logically was trying to do was take the business I already had and pivot it into what I was doing over here so that they could come together. Classic me trying to control the scenario. So what has happened in the last few months is that business has been in a huge process of crumbling. And I haven't been able to achieve that with that business because it was like trying to pull a juggernaut in a completely different direction. And the clients that I've had in that business, the experience, what I've been known for in that business, it's just not connected enough to the work that I'm doing, and it's been too much of a stretch to try and pull it over. Running social media accounts versus speaking to more aligned strategy and aligned energetics in business, which is what really is, I know, my role to speak about and to share. So it was always shown to me that the two businesses would collapse, and they use that word, collapse, into one, and it would show me like two spinning kind of like balls, and then they would just merge together. So there I was thinking my role was to actually pull that business into Be Magnetic so that they would come together, or take Be Magnetic into the marketing business, is what I always thought I was going to be doing. And quite frankly, it hadn't worked. And this year, in the last couple of months, I had to take the decision: am I going to keep going with this? Am I going to keep trying to run this business? And it started to fail anyway. It wasn't as abundant as it was before. So it was either go in and turn this around and go back into that business and build that agency back up, what I was doing before, or take a different route, because the plan that I tried to make, which was at the beginning of the year, to shift that business into the direction, just I could feel there was no momentum there, and once you start to learn what's in and out of alignment, you can feel like this is not working. But what I would say is I had to go through that process in order for myself to kind of almost satisfy my human that I tried that. So at a certain point, I knew I'm right to cut. I need to cut my losses here. I need to move on, because where my heart is all over in doing this work. It's been, in sharing what I'm sharing in terms of my channeling, my guides, how to build business from the fifth dimension. And I know how to, build from very little, how to manifest and move with the energy. So I knew all the time this was hanging on. It was just creating more and more resistance, and it was making everything feel harder. So it was a really tough place to be, because it is a place that held a huge amount of grief, and a huge amount for me of having to shut that business. And I think I maybe underestimated at a certain point that was going to be hard. I actually had this day where I woke up and I just knew that's what I had to do. I knew I had to let that business go. And it felt hard because, that's been my life for the last 4 years. That there's an identity that I had formed around that version of me. And even though I'd moved on from that version, that was still clinging there, still holding on. So I had to go through what I would say quite a deep spiral. And that brought up a lot of stuff for me, a lot of stuff from my childhood, a lot of stuff from my ancestral line, huge money things, financial fear of failure. There was a lot of narratives coming around, just because I knew it wasn't the case, because I knew I was actively making that choice, and I was so on board with that choice, that my soul was so ready for that choice, but my human was really struggling with it. And it just felt like this constant pull, this almost not really wanting to let it go, even though I knew I had to let it go. And it's been a really tough process, which is why I kind of went a bit quiet, because I just needed to be with myself in that moment. I needed to give it the respect it needed. I had to really spend some time really sitting with that and thanking the business for how abundant and incredible it has been for the last, I would say, 4 years. I think I've been running that business. 4 years of incredible, abundant business. I grew a marketing agency from zero to a multi-six-figure business out of nowhere. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I could do something like that, So it's been amazing. It's taught me so much, but that chapter had ended. And it was interesting because I was really in this really difficult place, and there was this back forward in my mind of like, oh, am I making the right choice? What's this going to mean? So, I had to make some other personal choices to be able to make that move, to be able to sustain things as they were, to be able to give myself the space to let go of that business and then recalibrate into this one fully. So yeah, it's been a really, really tough experience. And at that certain point, I would say I was in a real low place, like a really tough place. And it was right before we were planning to go on holiday, and I was getting everything ready for the closure of the business. And so just for clarity, as of now, that business is now closed, or in that very, very final process of closing. And about a month ago, we went on holiday, as a family. So obviously there I am thinking this beautiful holiday is just going to be the space, being on holiday, you're going to come back and work it all out when I get back, because I couldn't really do anything before that holiday anyway. There's a lot of reasons why the timeline had to be June, or had to be the end of May, early June. So off I went to go on this holiday. Now, what I want to say is, this is where it came to me, this: just when you think something's going wrong, remember it might be going perfectly. So the story is, we're planning to go on this holiday. We are flying out on the Sunday morning. Because we're flying very, very early from London, so we live in the UK and we're about an hour or a couple of hours from London in the car. So we were like, well, actually, we've got young kids, let's stay over and go very early, stay over in London, go very early on the Sunday. So we're packing the car up really leisurely the day before. I'm like super organised, all the car is all packed up. My husband goes to check us in. In that moment is a realisation that my passport has expired. And I'm not going on that holiday at this point because I've got no passport. So we have to think really fast. What can we do? This is just feels like a total disaster in the moment. But thinking fast, we managed to get an appointment to get a new passport on the Tuesday, a flight on the Tuesday evening. I knew I could get back out there. So we all go to London. Obviously, you can imagine all the emotion that brings, it's super stressful. I'm then having to send my kids with my husband, without me, for 2 days off on this holiday, because the alternative is no one's going on it, so that didn't seem like the right choice. And so I go with them up to London and I see them off. And it's like the most intense feeling. I don't know. It just felt really like an icing on the cake on top of everything I've been going through. And it just felt really heavy, having to wave my kids off while I was just sort of left behind in London. And I was meant to be staying with a friend, but in that moment where I felt I actually feel like this is a real opportunity. Rather than make this an opportunity, waste a good crisis, let's find a way for this to be a more positive experience. So at the time, I was still checked into the hotel that we were staying in overnight. Because it was such an early flight, I could stay in there until lunchtime. So I went back to that hotel room where I'd already booked. We were booked from the night before. And I sat in the bath. And honestly, I do, if you don't think that miracles happen, lately, the things that have happened for me, I can't even tell you. I don't know if anybody else is having this, miracle field completely open. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, team, I need to get my passport in a specific part of London. What I'd really love to find right now is a beautiful space for me to be totally at peace. I would love to have a pool. And I would love if I can get it for 2 nights under £200. Quite a big ask. And I sat there and I meditated and I sat with that. And then I got my phone out and I looked, and I'm not joking you, the hotel that I wanted pretty much was right there. £179, 2 nights in an apartment, which was brilliant because it meant I could cook for myself and I was on my own. So I had facilities there to be in the apartment, and it had a rooftop pool in Canary Wharf, which was right where I needed to get my passport. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that just was there. And I just did that, messaged my friend saying, actually, I think I just need to be on my own. Went to this hotel. It was absolutely perfect for what I needed. 2 full days on my own. So the kids, off they went. They were on our holiday, having a brilliant time. I then am in this hotel. And, this is what I think, this is where the lessons come in, because I then get 2 days completely alone. Given everything that has been going on and just how kind of heavy it was all feeling, this is exactly what I needed. And I probably wouldn't have been no space for that had this not happened. And I'm sitting there and I'm just getting beautiful communication from my team and realizing that actually after sort of a day of this, I feel quite at peace and I feel like I've got more clarity about my next moves. I've got more certainty about what I want to do. I was given so much clear guidance over this time, the beautiful synchronicities that happened during those 2 days. And I sat there and my team just said to me, you know, Bianca, what feels like it's going wrong is often going exactly perfectly. It's the grip, it's the control, it's the holding that makes this feel so much harder. And then what I was explained is this is what ascension looks like. And I know we know this, right? But when we're in it, it doesn't always feel like it's going well. They explained to me what was happening is I was expanding beyond the container that I built. The container I built was my marketing business. The marketing business could not handle or could not hold the expansion. I needed a new container, and that's what I'm here to build now. And that support is just completely there for me. And it was amazing, amazing, you know, to just have that 2 days to be able to really have those clear realizations, to understand that actually this is such a necessary process. And I came away from that experience, whilst it felt like, you know, this is all going wrong, like, you know, the holidays all going wrong, knowing that actually it went exactly how it was supposed to be. I joined my family, totally different, totally refreshed, totally energized. And it was funny because the whole theme of that holiday became things not going to plan. And so the lesson, the teaching constantly kept being just be in the present, be in the moment, you know, allow things to unfold. And that is what we're being asked to do. This is what this process is asking from us. So if you are in a place where it feels like it's absolutely crumbling and it's all falling away, just know that it is meant to be this way. But it can be really heavy on the human. It can bring up a lot of the emotions, and it's supposed to surface. And that was the other guidance that I got. You know, allow it to come up. You know, all that childhood trauma that I'd experienced, that we went quite significantly bankrupt when I was a teenager, and so my family did. So that brought up that experience for me. You know, as a child, it was out of my control, even though I was totally in control of what I was doing with the marketing business and taking those decisions. It felt in my body like I was that 13-year-old girl again. And so it's been, I think it's important to share the highs and the lows, and I think it's important to share that when you feel like you're literally losing your mind and you're right at the bottom and this emotion is coming up and things are just, you know, it feels like what I've been asked to do was almost go to a 0 point to come back up. And it has, you know, I'm, you know, already seeing that rebound massively, and things I've been dreaming about have started to happen. It's unreal. All the things I was trying to do before I'd made that choice, so I'd really fully let go, that weren't moving, now suddenly start to move. Now I'm getting phone calls. Now people are coming to me. And this is the magnetism that comes from making the choice. And I think that's the other thing, you know, coming back to it. It's about choice. It's about decision. I decided I'm ready. I'm ready to let go of this business, and I mean it. I'm ready to expand into all I'm becoming. And I sat and I said those words out loud multiple times just to really call that in. And wow, have I seen the expansion come forwards, not only in my own gifts, you know, the sessions that I've been having with individuals, the energetic work that's coming through me, my channel, everything has just expanded, and that is now starting to have an impact in the beautiful individuals that are coming in and stepping in and working with me as well. So not only has this process been incredible, one, to show me, you know, how this process works, but also it's going to add so much depth to the work I'm doing when I'm supporting others to move through, because business doesn't always look linear, you know, and life is not always linear. And we have to accept that where we're going, we need to be able to move in the moment and let go the things, because often we've built our life. You know, what I come to realize is the business I built after my corporate, you know, life, the marketing business I built was very much still that corporate me, just in a different container. And that's just not who I am, you know, and I had to let that go, even though I was trying to shimmy it and move it into a new direction. Fundamentally, the foundations just need to come down so that I can rebuild from this place energetically. And it might not always be the case, by the way. Not everybody's going to need to go through it to that extent, and obviously it had to happen that way for me as well, because it was karmically bringing forward all the stuff that was unresolved, ready to go as well. So there's been so much I've learned from it. It's been incredible. And not only did it provide me with incredible wisdom to share with you, to support clients in the future, to support myself and actually understand how actually I've got a clean slate. I can build from, because I felt my wings were clipped all the time I was in that business, trying to be two different Biancas. Now I'm all in one, and it's so liberating. It's so free, and I feel, totally different person. Honestly, I don't think I'm the same. But anyway, so that's been the process, and that's what I wanted to show you and I wanted to share, because this process is about letting go of the things that are no longer aligned to who you're becoming. And this is a powerful example, I believe, and I felt it was important to share it. And just before I kind of end this episode, what I want to share also was the incredible thing that happened to me when I was on that rooftop. So not only was I getting all these beautiful realizations for myself, so this is a bit of a story of like how beautiful the connection is with the star beings that are out there right now and supporting us here on Earth. The second day I was walking along the docks in Canary Wharf, which is a kind of city area in London, and I felt the Pleiadians were talking to me. And I don't often have a very strong connection with the Pleiadians. I have done, but usually, my Arcturian guides are the stronger kind of connection for me. And I asked my higher self, like, are we open to this connection? We are open to this connection. And the Pleiadians came in and asked if while I was there, where I was, would support with the grids of the Earth. In that particular area. Of course, I was like, yeah, okay. So I'm walking and it's raining, and they start kind of bringing light language through me. So I'm just allowing it as I'm walking. And I'm sure if other people were walking past me, they were thinking, what is happening over there? But anyway, a lot of times in London, people just don't really engage with each other. So you can do whatever. People don't notice. So I was off down the Docklands, just bringing through the light language, and I could feel like the codes were in the water, and they were showing me these codes in the water and asking me to help them to embed these codes into the sky, so that it could form like what they were calling like a dome around the city. So I did some of that, but then it started raining really badly, and I was like, guys, I don't really want to stand here in the peeing rain, so I've kind of done enough for now. Like, let's reconvene another time, or hopefully you can, find another support. And off I go. And I went to the Cleopatra experience, which was awesome, by the way, in London. If anyone hasn't been to that, it was cool. So then I went and did that, and I got back, and I got back to my apartment, and I was just having a tea before I was going up to the pool, and I heard, so you're going to be alone at the pool. And I was like, okay, great. So off I go up there, and I'm alone in the pool. Walked in, and I'm just start swimming, and then the Pleiadians come back, and they asked if I could continue to support. So the pool is completely empty. There's not a single person up there. Like, in this whole building, there's not a single person in this area. And I'm on this rooftop overlooking the whole city, stood in the water. And then I start to bring through the light codes. And I work in channel with the Pleiadians to create what basically, it's really hard to describe it because there's not really any human words I can use to describe it. But they were showing me that the codes that were in the water, embedded in the water, could come up and then create this kind of like, it looked almost like an atom. I don't know how else to explain it, but this structure. And then once that structure was formed, we would then together release it up into the air, and it would disperse across. So that's what they asked me to do with them, and bring this kind of light in and around to just basically, what they were saying is help to clear the density and some of the distortion that is around in the city area, as you might imagine. So yeah, that's what I did. And I'm not joking you, I finished doing it, and obviously I'm like, when I'm in channel like that, I'm bringing through light language, it comes through my hands, it comes through my voice, and it was actually incredible. And I felt the energy of it as well. It was amazing. And I just felt almost high by the end of that. It was amazing. And so after I had done that support, with that, I started swimming again, a couple of laps up and down the pool, and then people walked in. I couldn't believe it. So I was completely supported to be fully private, to be able to do that and let go in the way that I needed to really do that work. Right on the rooftop, being able to overlook the whole city, it was amazing. honestly. So the synchronicity and the connection, and just the fact that I happened to be there and I was able to support with that as well. I've been supported with the beautiful hotel room for 2 nights for really ridiculous brilliant price, and all of that was like it felt like a co-collaboration between me and those star beings. So yeah, it was amazing. So I think I've reached a point at this stage where nothing surprises me anymore, and the amazing synchronicity, the complete miracles that keep happening, the phenomenal individuals that are stepping in into my world, the work that's coming through me. I'm working with people who are having their that will have energetic sessions with me, and the channel will blow open. Or I did some energetic work not long ago for somebody who had a pressure headache and couldn't get rid of it, and it just literally evaporated within 24 hours of the work. So the Arcturians are working with me very, very closely right now. And as I've chosen to step in to fully this role, I really see that has come through me as well. So, I've always been very proud of having an incredibly clean channel, and it's been beautiful to work with these beings. But now I feel like I've hit another level. And I think what I would reflect on that for anyone that's listening to this is that can happen when you choose it, and the more you kind of delayer, the higher you go, the more stuff starts to come online. And that's what I'm being shown as well. The more of our intuitive gifts, like this is nothing that I'm being taught, it's remembered. All of this is remembered. Any of the work that comes through others that I've stepped in and I've supported as well, it seems to just be a process of remembering, and it comes from the delayering. It comes from the removing of the conditioning and the energetic blocks that are preventing us being who we are. So it's been such a beautiful process that I myself have had to go through beautifully so that I understand how this process works as well and can share this. So that's why I'm sharing this, and I'm sharing it all because for someone this may be really interesting, or this may be actually really validating. If I had been listening to this maybe 12 months, 2 years ago, and someone explained to me what happened there with the Pleiadians, that would be super validating for me because I had those experiences and I didn't know anyone else who was having them. So anyway, that's the end of the episode. I'm going to come back on and start sharing, doing some channeling. And I'm excited to start, bringing back content here, especially as I am now fully embodied to all of me being here, really, really living from what I share and teach, and experiencing it, all aspects of it, whether that's the highs and the lows and all the things that comes with it, and embracing it beautifully. So I hope that this episode has helped somebody, that it's been interesting to hear this story. And if you do want to join Louise and I on the 9th of June, it's at 7 p.m. UK time, there is a link here. We are going to be doing a beautiful session together where we will share more stories like this. We will talk about what we're bringing forward in terms of the collective. And what I do know is not only this has been an experience for me, but I think we can all experience a level of big upgrades coming for June and July. I've been shown this very, very big shift coming energetically. And I actually woke up a few days ago with this real sense of a huge wave of energy coming in, which I think we are experiencing already. If not, it will amplify. So yeah, having that support is invaluable. Knowing other people going through this stuff is important. And that's why I'm committed to share as much as I can. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you very soon on the next one.